So the only option I could think was slapping the graphic designer very hard. Was one of the options that came to my mind that particular year, when the incident occurred, because he caused me damage and rescheduling, which affects trust with my fans. Welcome back to the podcast. Make sure you tell no lie.
You are listening to Tell No Lie Podcast, episode 29. Do you have a popcorn, or I should get it for you?
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the podcast Tell No Lie. And today I want to share a story that is very personal to me. It's a story about how learning digital skills completely changed my life financially, educationally, and even personally. It is also the story of how the journey eventually led to the birth of HatchLab Academy. So I hope by the end of this episode, someone listening will realize that one decision, one skill, and one opportunity can completely change the direction of a person's life. My journey into digital skills started long before I knew what digital skills actually were. While I was in Marama, there's a local government called Marama in Borno State I think that was around 2014, yes. I used to visit an internet cafe in Biu local government area. Biu is not too far from Marama. Highest 30 something minutes, you'll be there. So I used to be there. Sometimes I would spend money just to buy internet time. That time, there's nothing like everybody have Facebook. Though there are some people that might have it, but then it's very few. So you have to go to the cafe to actually purchase time just to log into Facebook or do some stuff like that. Yeah, so that was the time I would just spend money to buy internet time, and sometimes I make research on things like website creation and then online opportunities, and possibly sometimes check Facebook. To be honest, I didn't fully understand what was going back then at all. I don't know. I just know that I love doing it, but I knew I had to learn something that could actually change my future, because I love creating something since when I was a child. I just love molding clay, doing something, beating drums, that kind of stuff. So fast forward to 2015, when I moved to Lagos, Ojo to be precise, and I started working with LG company. Yes, so for the first time I had unlimited access to internet through the company's network. And that was the time I bought my first laptop, and I spent countless of hours teaching myself digital skills, research, how to do this, how to do that. I started shooting music video for my friends. I have my friends who are musicians, and I love music too. So sometimes I start doing it for them, and I start learning digital design, and exploring many creative tools. I was just trying to be, even though I work with the company, we were always busy, but during break time, I would organize my guys and use my phone to shoot a video for them, and I would edit with, I think I was using, what was the software? A software or an application I was using in my laptop, Power Director. That was what I was using to edit video for them. And sometimes they will give me like 1,000 or 2,000 or 500 naira to just use it for break. And it was something worth it, but even though I knew that time my skills was nothing. So, but my skills were still developing, but that period, it gave me the exposure that I needed. Then I think in 2017, when I finally relocated back to northern Nigeria, I think it's Bauchi to be precise, yeah, Bauchi State. And that was when everything changed. One day, on a normal day, I paid a graphic designer. I don't want to call his name, but I know possibly he may see this podcast, so there's no reason to hide anything, because this is Tell No Lie podcast. You know what I'm saying? So I paid the graphic designer to create a design for me, because that time I started music, so I need an artwork for my song. But after collecting my money, this guy, it's almost 24 hours. He failed to deliver the work, and I was so frustrated because I've already given my fans the time and date that I'm going to release the song. And he knew it. He viewed my status. So why would he do that to me? I was so frustrated. In fact, I think of slapping him multiple times. But that time I was a very rugged guy. But still, I asked for a refund, and he sent me my money. So I just sat down in my room and I looked at my laptop. I look at my laptop very closely with, I think that thing was very highly meant to happen. I just look at my laptop like that. So I was like, and I asked myself a simple question like, if another human being can design this, why can't I learn or design myself? He have a brain, I have a brain, he have a body. In fact, he's a guy like me, he's not old, he's young like me, so why can't I create it for myself? I asked many questions for myself. That single moment changed my life entirely. Do you know what I did? I just opened my laptop and then I designed my first graphic, and it's for myself. Imagine designing a graphic for a music. I trusted myself. The same day that this guy did this thing for me, that was when I downloaded Photoshop, I imported my picture, and I designed the artwork for my song Gayamusu in Hausa, which means tell them. That was my first artwork, and it was done out of anger and frustration and due to what I faced. But that moment is spiritual, I know. So I started designing for other people since from that time, because people see my artwork and they were like, who did it for you? So I would just refer myself to them. If you're an artist, most of your friends will be artists or creators. So they will just ask me to also design for them. And I started designing for people and I started earning money from it. So over the time, I became a professional graphic designer, a videographer, and a lot more, because I do a lot of stuff. So I started working with different companies, online, remotely, and even physical NGO organizations. I work with a couple of NGO organizations, even recently, and even businesses, right? So later, while I was working in my recent organization, I think this thing happened not too long ago, maybe probably 2 months. Yes, I was asked to teach somebody video editing, although it wasn't part of my responsibility, because the person that was supposed to teach her was my lead, and then she was like, kind of, I don't know, maybe she's busy or what, but she said she cannot be able to do it. And then the executive director gave an order that I should be the one to teach her video editing, and I agree. Then I thought, if I'm teaching one person, why not teach others too? Because I have some people that actually talk to me, even in the organization, that they want to learn, and a couple of friends around. So I opened a small group of people who wanted to learn video editing. So whilst I was teaching them, a vision came to me. I think that was God. And I realized that I had acquired several valued skills that could help me transform other people's life, most especially the young creatives. That vision was so real, so real. That vision eventually became HatchLab Academy. Yes, that was when HatchLab Academy was born, because I was thinking, wait, I know how to do designing of website, I know how to design graphics design, I know how to design logos, I know how to shoot and edit video professionally, both for businesses and company, for organization, for personal use, for music artists, for podcasts. I was like, wait a minute. And I can also teach people about AI, because I know how to generate AI images, AI video editing, AI website, and a lot of anything AI media production. I am very good in that. So that was how HatchLab Academy came into existence. And I have to give it up for my sister Bridget, all the way from Abuja. She was the lady that wanted to learn video editing. And since from that time, I think it was through that course that I decided to open that group. So I have to give it up. So shout out to you if you're listening. Yeah. So that vision eventually became HatchLab Academy. So what started in small internet cafe in Biu local government area as a curious secondary school student, searching for answers, has now become a platform dedicated to helping others build digital skills and create opportunities for themselves. If you have listened this far, I want you to know that the biggest lesson from my story is this: your breakthrough may be hiding behind the skills you are refusing to learn. See, trust me, you don't need perfect conditions, you don't need expensive equipment, you don't need perfect setup or all the answers before you start. I began by spending a little money in internet cafe, searching for things I barely even understood. But years later, those small steps became skills. Those skills become opportunity. And those opportunities eventually became HatchLab Academy, where digital skills is being taught, where young people are being hatched and being launched into the digital world, whereby they can make a lot of money in the creative economy. So never underestimate small beginners or small beginning, because they often lead to lifetime outcomes. So I want you to please build on yourself, trust in yourself, believe in yourself, and keep learning and never stop learning. If you have listened to this point, all I would like you to do is to like, comment, and subscribe to my channels, and always stay updated for my next episode. Thank you for listening. See you on the next one. Hakamukasawa.
Tell No Lie Podcast, Episode 29.